Nov.
Coach, what is your, did you and Tony talk about this game at all during the World Championships, and what is your relationship with him?
We didn't.
Not from UVA, don't worry.
You asked a couple questions. Did we talk about the game? Very little. You know, it just he knew that I knew about it, and I knew that he knew about it. But we were just focused on our team and working together to help Billy coach the team. He's a great guy to be around. We spent a lot of time together, both before we went overseas and then especially when we were in Prague, because as assistant coaches, we were in charge of scouting the other teams, and there's 15 other teams in the event we were in. So every day we went to, for 9 straight days, well, I think there was 1 day off in between, we went to 3 additional games besides our team's game. We always played the last game. So we went to a game at noon, a game at 2:30, a game at 6, and then we played the night game. And so we spent a lot of time together talking, and he's a guy I've got tremendous respect for.
Coach, for a game like this, you guys ranked them ranked this early in the season. How cool is this for college basketball in Virginia to have both you guys playing this game on a big stage, nationally ranked for a college basketball league?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for both teams and also for all the fans of basketball in this area. You know, there's a lot of great basketball that goes on throughout the year in Virginia, in the Mid-Atlantic region, but you know, for this early in the year for two teams that are in the top 25 to play one another, you know, I've heard it's sold out, so it'll be a great crowd, a great atmosphere. I think that's what it's all about. And you know, for our teams, it's a chance to test ourselves because when you play a team as good as Virginia and as talented and experienced as Virginia, it's certainly a big challenge.
How did this come to be? Were you involved in the home and home part of you know, sort of negotiating it all? Is this something you push for? I know you're playing both Virginia and Virginia Tech this year. Tech one is circumstances. Yeah,
actually. Tony and I talked about playing when we first got here. We got the head coaching jobs at Virginia VCU within days of one another. And I think it was that first summer on the road we talked about potentially playing. His dad, as you know, was a very, very successful coach at a few different schools, but at Wisconsin Green Bay was one of them where Tony played. And Tony talked about how Wisconsin would play Green Bay and Milwaukee and Marquette, the other schools in the state. So, you know, we talked about playing. It didn't really come about for the first 4 years, but, you know, just kept talking about it. And I actually, you know, I know Richie McKay really well, too, and we talk quite a bit. And he does their scheduling, or you know, kind of oversees their scheduling, with Tony making the final decision, and you know, we were able to set it up.
Did you know Tony before you guys both got here?
Just a little bit. I met him on the road. I knew of him. I've known of him for a long, long time. I mean, he's a legend in the state of Wisconsin, where both of us are from. He was a terrific player, and just a guy that, you know, so many of us looked up to when I was younger, and so I've known of him for a while, but didn't really know him well.
Gill and Brogdon are kind of 2 new additions for them. How do they affect that nucleus that came back that was so experienced?
They're really good. I mean, Brogdon's been there. He just redshirted, but he played the year before. So the thing about those 2 guys is there's new additions that have not been on your campus and in your practice, and then there's guys that have been practicing. You know, Jordan Burgess has practiced with us for a year, and you can tell he's not a veteran, but he's certainly a lot different than a freshman. And the same goes even more so for Gill and Brogdon because they have high-level experience, at the high major level. It just so happened that they sat out last year, but they sat out last year playing every day in practice against Virginia's players and in their system. So those guys are terrific players. We recruited Malcolm Brogdon pretty heavily, know him and his mom pretty well, and they're great people. We tried to recruit Gill. Didn't get much return love there, but he's a guy that I know his high school coach Sean Brown really well, and a guy who's a very good player.
It's a game that seems like it's a lot different than it would have been last year because you guys are deeper on the front line, and with Gill and Toby being a year older, they're a lot deeper on the front line. Last year, both of you teams were kind of more outside oriented. It seems like. Does that change it a lot?
We'll see. I think they have a very, very deep team. Hopefully we've got really good depth. So it just means more guys will play. But in terms of the style of play and the nature of the game, I don't think it changes a whole lot. I think we're still going to try to do what we do, play fast, press, run. They're going to do what they do. They have terrific motion offense. They've got a really, really tough defense that they've been one of the best of the country at.
When you scrimmaged them last year, they had like no guards. Does that affect the way? Did that affect the way you approached the scrimmage, or did you give away what you do, and have they seen it and experienced it, or did they see a different version of what you guys did?
No, we played, so they saw VCU and we saw Virginia. Neither one of our teams is one where on a given night we're going to try to be someone else. And you're right, they had a lot of guys out in that game. So what we didn't see in that scrimmage was their full complement of players. Plus, as you mentioned, they've got some new guys, or some guys that weren't eligible last year. But from the standpoint of, they saw our press. We saw their motion offense. We saw their stingy half-court defense. That's definitely something that, obviously, a tape that they're watching closely and one that we are as well.
There was a lot made about the new hand-checking rules.
Mm-hmm.
What was your initial experience? You guys had a pretty low foul total in your game compared to the national average. I guess
didn't feel like it. We just have to adjust. Everyone has to adjust, and we look at it as a positive on the offensive end, because if we can really be aggressive and attack the basket and get in the paint, we can get to the foul line quite a bit. On the defensive end, I thought in our first game against Illinois State, our older guys that have been around did a nice job in not fouling, playing defense and showing their hands. And then some of our newer guys, Jaquan, Doug, Jordan a little bit, those guys picked up some fouls, and they're just going to have to adjust to the way it's called.
I think I heard you last week. You sort of talked about what you did differently, maybe to get them adjusted to the new rules. Calling more fouls in practice.
Mm-hmm.
When it first got announced, did you panic isn't the right word, but were you alarmed when you heard the rule changes announced, and did you immediately go about trying to think about what you could do, what you needed to do differently?
No, I was not alarmed, and yes, we did go about thinking about what we can do differently. That's what you do as a coach. When they change the rules, hopefully someday they'll change college basketball to a 24-second clock. People can be alarmed all they want, but they're going to have to adjust. That'd be a rule that would help us. There was a rule that is, I think, significant and helps us, in that now the officials are supposed to use the shot clock to determine a 10-second violation, and there was an example of that in our game on Friday. So I think that's a good change.
Chuck, you talked about this half-court stingy defensive tackle line, whatever. How do you beat that?
How do you beat that?
Yeah, when you're in half-court.
can't tell you our whole game plan, Tim, but you know, by attacking, you got to make sure you've got to move the ball, and you've got to move bodies. If you stand around, very, very difficult to get in the lane. But if you can move, and if you can attack on the drive, and if it doesn't work, pass the ball and try to attack on the next drive. That's something that can be effective. Like any defense, it's something that you want to attack in transition. So if we can get the ball out quickly and push it, and you know, get the ball to our guys that can make plays in transition, then you know we're gonna have a chance to be successful. But you know you can't get frustrated. Their defense is one that has frustrated many a team. So you just have to stay with it. They're very good at forcing lower percentage shots. If you watch their game against JMU on Friday, you know JMU shot a lot of contested jump shots. That's not really a function of JMU. That's what Virginia's defense is set up to do.
Does any part of you wish this game was a little bit later in the season so you had more of your rotations and a little more experience for your players, or this is it and both teams have to deal with it?
No, I just think that's counterproductive to wish something is. I mean, we are where we are right now. You know, it'd be like me wishing this press conference was earlier or later. I mean, we're here, and the game will be here tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So, you know, we're excited. It's an opportunity. You know, I asked the guys yesterday at the end of practice. I said, I won't name the other school because I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but I said, do you want to play Virginia? And then I said, or do you want to play? There's another team in the state that's not Division I and, you know, maybe not as well known, not in the top 25. Which of those teams do you want to play? And, you know, you come to college to play against teams like University of Virginia. They're in the ACC. Not one of our guys was recruited by Virginia. And it's an opportunity to play against one of the best teams in the country on their home floor in front of a sold-out crowd. So, no, I don't wish it was later in the season.
That said, your recruiting profile has gone up in recent years. Is this an important recruiting game? I mean, you got at this point, you know.
Every game's an important recruiting game. I mean, but to your point, we are on national TV. There are a lot of people that will watch the game, but you know, it's not like we're gonna recruit one type of kid if we win, another type of kid if we don't. You know, I think the good thing is we have a schedule now that all of our games are on TV. Most of our games are on national TV, and people can watch us, and people can see how we play, and that we play a lot of guys, and that it's an exciting style. So that's a good thing. But certainly winning would help.
I know it's been a challenge in scheduling to get teams like Virginia to play a home series with you. I mean, can you characterize maybe why Tony was more receptive to that?
Yeah, I have to ask him. I don't know. I mean, something that we talked about, like I said, when we first got here. But, you know, we talked to a lot of